Hi, this is Jared Shad. February 4th, 2017. Snow on the ground, no leaves on the trees, and I got a couple questions for Jared at the end of the semester. Here we go. Okay, so one of my first questions for you, Jared. Now that it's May or June, how do you see the environment here in Matamidi? How do you see the environment differently than you did back in February? Okay, I'd say now after taking this class and everything that we've been through, a sit spot and all the lessons and talks that we've had, now I see the environment a lot differently. I look in the woods and I see not just like plants and trees and stuff, but I see like stories of all this stuff. Like when you're talking about trees and stuff, I would say you see their story, what they've been through, how long they've been here, and I really think about that stuff kind of a lot more now than I ever would have before taking this class. I'd say I search for stuff a lot more now. Like I'll look in here and I won't just like give it a quick glance. I'll kind of look and I'll look for animals or insects and then think about all that. I'm more curious now. You're more curious as to what's in there, why is it in there, how long has it been there, and how does it affect everything else that's in there? How does it work as a whole with everything else? I got a question for you, Jared. Back in February right now, you're walking across the pond and it's all ice. And if you take a look at your sit spot right over there, you can see there's snow on the ground, everything's frozen, no leaves. How has your sit spot changed since the beginning of the semester now to June? Well, my sit spot's changed a lot. I've had to find a different way to get there now. I can't really walk across the ice and cut through, because it is now a wet pond, and I just fall right into the water, kind of like Max would. Now there's a lot more green, there's a lot more plants and animals that you hear. I mean, I'd hear birds maybe in the winter a little bit, but now they're plentiful. You can hear birds everywhere, there's green leaves, it's warm outside, and there's insects crawling around. Those were hiding back when we had sit spot, but now you can see all that. It's a lot different. My sit spot tree actually fell over halfway through the year. The top of it is gone now. And it had been picked at, I had come to sit spot and it was getting picked at by like a woodpecker or something. You can see all the wood chips on the ground. So now my sit spot tree is probably half the size. And there's water everywhere right in front of me. Like I can't even sit down, I'm squatting, because I go any further forward I'd be in the water. So everything is melted, the water's come up, it's flooded my sit spot. But there's a lot more life that I see now. I see there's leaves and there's animals and insects that you see the insects, you can hear the birds, the frogs. We saw some ducks landing last week at sit spot. It's a lot different. Okay, another question. What is one thing from this past semester that you will remember for years to come? One of the most memorable experiences from sit spot that I'll remember for years to come is we were doing the tree project and Max was walking on the ice and Max decided to like run and jump or something, and I'm over in the woods surveying some trees and they're at the pond section. He jumps and then he just goes through, you hear a big splash. Everybody starts screaming and laughing and freaking out and he gets up and out of there right away. But I had the perfect view because I heard him walking around. I look over and I see him go through. It was the funniest thing ever. That is something I'll remember for years to come. Another question for you. What is one of your most memorable experiences from sit spot this past semester? Alright, one of the most memorable experiences from sit spot, I would have to say, is there was one day we were out here and everything was just starting to melt, or it had already melted because it was super nice, but the water hadn't come up too far yet. I was still sitting there. I was able to sit at my sit spot and not have the water right next to me, but these ducks flew in. I don't know what kind of dogs, mallards, I don't know. And I was sitting there and that was super cool because that was right next to me. Like you sit there and you're quiet, so now all the insects and whatever. Thought that was a bug. Okay. No, but everything comes so close to you because you're sitting there, a part of nature. They're not scared of you anymore because you've been so quiet. It's so cool to have them come up so close to you and be able to experience it like right in front of you. I was sitting there the same day. I had just gotten there and all the frogs were quiet. You had mentioned listen for the frogs. And they had come out. You could hear them as we were walking. They got quieter and quieter. But after you sat there for like 10 minutes, the frogs started coming back. And it was honestly right. I mean, I could have reached out. It was the log in front of me like an arm's length away. And I couldn't see the frog, but I could definitely hear it. And they were all over the pond. I gotta say, the pond is probably one of the best spots to choose for a sit spot because it changed so much. It was all frozen over and it was all just sticks and whatever before. I mean, not super cool compared to now. It's plentiful. There's tons of life, the flowers, the insects, the animals. I had to find a different way, so now I'm exploring different parts of the woods. It's just super cool. Sit spot, I gotta say, as cold as it got sometimes, and as wet or rainy or nasty it got, or how hard it is to walk through the woods and get out now, I gotta say, it was one of the coolest things ever. I gotta say, I have a completely different view of nature. It's a lot more deeper and insightful. I'm a lot more curious as to what everything is in here. And I wouldn't have had that without Sit Spot. The opportunity to sit down and just enjoy nature for half an hour a day, once a week, and be forced to sit here, no phone, no nothing, just me, just the environment, because then you really get to experience what it really is for yourself. Not have somebody tell you what it's like, this and that, but to be able to build your learning off of your own experiences. And in a classroom setting like this, it was just super cool.